Logic and Reason starts now. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome into the show. We are live.
We're so glad to have you back.
Salutations, everyone. Welcome to Logic and Reason.
Welcome to the new.
You can't stop me in the middle of the intro. I do the intro.
You do an intro.
All right. Welcome to Logic and Reason, where we discuss logic, people's logic, and people's reason. See, now I mess it up.
Sorry about that.
You want to do you do the intro?
No, I just wanted to welcome people in.
All right.
My bad.
I am Reason, trying to reason with logic.
Uh-oh.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, as we say every day. All right, so today's episode, if you guys saw the title, we are talking about the presidential candidates coming up in the 2024 election. It is that time of year where everyone loves the ads and the drama and the debates and all that stuff. It's great to be in America during an election time. What kind of sparked this conversation today was the fact that Ron DeSantis has actually officially decided to run for president. Even we kind of already knew this. I guess, what were your initial thoughts with his official announcement?
I was late to the knowledge that he announced, but I mean, at the same time, I've thought it might be more than a rumor that he'd enter the race. I think it's kind of interesting he did it through Twitter Spaces. That's kind of cool.
Have you guys used Twitter Spaces? In the comments?
What were your initial thoughts?
Of him running?
Yeah.
I mean,
or his announcement.
I didn't hear it, so I don't really have any opinions on what he said. But as far as him using Twitter Spaces, I think he was talking to Elon Musk during that time. Mm-hmm. Twitter Spaces is interesting. It's kind of like, what's that app? Nextdoor, Backdoor, Front Door?
Probably Nextdoor. I don't know. Neighbor.
Anyway, it's
which one? The one you use to get supplies and things from other neighbors?
No. I'm trying to talk about what was the app that was basically Twitter Spaces, but before Twitter Spaces existed.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
It's the one where you had to get invited in, and so
Clubhouse.
That's it. So it's basically Clubhouse, but for Twitter. So as far as what I think about it, you just ripped off Clubhouse. But I guess it's a little better because you don't have to have the whole invite thing. So everybody can use it and it's open. So I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, we knew this was coming. So this is not too much of a surprise. He has had a very busy last couple of 4 months. I think they just recently closed their legislative session in Florida.
Okay.
And so he's been a really busy DeSantis. For some reason, I thought Duh was his middle name. I thought his name was Ron DeSantis, but I didn't know that DeSantis was actually one word. So
his parents' name and Duh, middle name.
Maybe.
I don't know. Could be another culture.
Could be.
Yeah.
All right, so we have so far, how many is that? That's 5, 10? 10 have confirmed.
Looks about.
And so we're going to take a look at the landscape. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. All right, cool. All right, so at the top of this chart here, we have Sleepy Joe Biden. And he has, unfortunately, decided to run for re-election. I really hope he would have finally checked himself into a retirement home, but he has not. He's had decent moments where he is all there, and then he has moments where he's losing it. And so it's actually kind of sad. I try to poke fun out of a very sad and depressing situation. Our president is barely functional. It's not a good time to be an American right now. I guess I could have said the same thing about Trump too, but I wish this wasn't the case. Are you surprised with Sleepy Joe and his decision to try to stiff arm death and to run for re-election?
Not surprised, more disappointed. Yeah, just disappointed. I think he does need to relax a little bit, have a good retirement, and maybe the people around him are a little selfish. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but well, besides, I'm the incumbent, most likely incumbent would win again, but do you have the energy and vibrance to make it through another 4 years? Well, not just make it. I mean, we don't want the president to be barely making it, to thrive and push America, propel America forward, and do all the initiatives that him and Kamala have stated that they're going to do. I don't know. Were you surprised? You weren't surprised, or you said you weren't. I don't know.
No, I was concerned when he ran the first time. So I was like, this is not really a surprise to anybody listening. If anybody who's actually spent any amount of time with me, I'm not a huge fan of Kamala Harris. So this was kind of a concern that I had during the first election. Is like, is this guy going to stay alive? Because if he doesn't, here comes in Kamala Harris for president. He's already past the life expectancy of a typical American male. And so, saying, is he going to make it through the presidency is not a far-fetched thing to say. I don't know why people have this idea that every person on this planet has the right to live until 100 years old. That's if you make it that far, congratulations to you, but that's not a norm, nor should it be an expectation. Right? Me personally, right? Once I hit 75, I think I made it. I'm like, all right, cool. Every day now is borrowed. I'm on borrowed time. Right? So enjoy every last minute. That's why there's an old man who works at my office, and I make fun of that guy every day. But, he's living the dream. The guy is macking on every single 30-something that walks up in the door. He has to be a solid 80. He's having a great time. He lures people in with candy. He's out here getting it.
I don't know what you just described, but okay.
He's an old dude who has like a little store outside of
outside the offices. Okay.
Yeah, so he'll sell different things to people and he'll shine your shoes and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean he's out. He has a little bowl of candy that he has next to his little station, and girls will come in and he's like, "Oh, girl, you look so good," like those type of things, right? He's not going to do anything with anybody.
His job isn't too stressful or straining for him.
No.
Okay.
But yeah, he's out here, living out the rest of his life. And if he dies tomorrow, he'll probably be a happy guy. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if he has kids or not, but.
Doing what he wants to do.
So, Joe should, he's finally fulfilled his dream, right? He's always wanted to be president. He now has fulfilled that promise. And so, right out in the sunset, homie. Right out in the sunset. But, he doesn't want to do that. So he's the biggest, if you want to call him name, more serious candidate. I mean, he's the incumbent, so naturally.
Yeah, we already have his name, and name recognition, I guess, is the thing. And then, yeah.
On the flip side to that, we have the infamous or famous, depending on where you lean, Donald J. Let's Get It Trump. Man, I thought he was going to let this go.
Another one with a name recognition. Of course. Because he hasn't really, I almost said shut up. He hasn't really calmed down since the last election anyhow.
I don't know if there is a calm Trump.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that exists.
I might be a little scared if he comes on screen a little calm.
Yeah, I think he stays on 10.
Can we get in the middle? We have, I never refer to him as Sleepy Joe, but let's go ahead and say Sleepy Joe on one end and then Trump on the other side.
Up like Trump.
Can we have someone moderately in the middle there?
Well,
also with ideologies?
We might have some of that with the other candidates.
Okay.
Yeah, these are both Joe and Trump they are the cupcake or cookie you never asked for. They're the, oh, by the way, can you join us in this meeting that happens in the next 5 minutes, right? They're the, oh, crap, it's April and I haven't done my taxes. I guess I got to do them now. That's what they are. They're the choice that you have to make that you'd rather not, but you just got stuck with them. And so now we're here.
Yikes.
No one, at least as far as any sane person, a normal person I've talked to, yes, you have your crazies on both sides, but nobody who is just a normal person is excited about any of these two, right? Just like the first time. The first time around, nobody was like, oh, yeah, Trump. Unless you're really nutty. I know a lot of people who voted for Trump who were just like, yeah, I just didn't like Joe, right? And you have other folks who said, yeah, I voted for Joe because I just didn't like Trump. But they didn't like the person they were voting for. It wasn't like, yeah, I'm voting for this guy because I like this guy. It's just like, no, I'm voting for this guy because I don't like the other dude. So, yeah, I don't know how we break that cycle. We do have some fresh faces, though. I don't remember Tim Scott running last time. So I think he's a new face.
Yeah, we got some newbies.
Also, Desantis is a new one. He wasn't in the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Elder. Why is Elder running for president? Why are you doing this?
Good old Larry.
Don't do this, Larry.
Why not?
He already lost the California election for governor.
Oh, he did run. Okay. He just didn't have as much. Well, actually, I can't say that because I don't live there. But I would say he didn't have as much popularity from not winning. Was my assumption. Okay.
It is a blue state, so I can kind of see that, but still.
Oh yes, the guy who's infamously the. I'm not even gonna say it. They came after him.
Who came after him?
The opposing party came after him, saying he was the blackface of.
Oh.
I don't remember if it was white nationalism or if it was racism, something like that.
Why did they
and I was
say
like,
that?
And I don't know why they would think that's appropriate on any level, but.
But also, what was it based off of? I don't remember hearing anything from him. Like he doesn't hold white people to like some type of.
No, he's not
God level. Like
there's no race issue that he has. Well, he's come out and said America is not racist. Against. Is not racist, and now saying against the. I guess common talk in certain parts of the party, because I wouldn't say that all the left says that, but that's what's insinuated, right? So he said that.
Those are just the crazy people.
Yeah. So he has. Yeah. I don't think he has anything like that. Maybe what else? He's pro-life. Look at my notes here, and I don't know. Maybe it's just something he's always wanted to do.
Run for president?
Did I look at that right? 71 years old?
They're all old.
Wow.
I mean,
Larry too?
Yes, Larry's old.
Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe he'll wait a little while, but maybe that's what it is.
Wait a little while for what?
It's what he's wanting
now,
to do. Now,
Tim Scott is younger.
Yes.
But no, Larry's he's an old man. He's 70.
Okay.
71 or something like that. Yeah, I don't remember. I know, like, for the comment, America is not racist, I can kind of see why somebody would say you're crazy and that America is racist, because the rhetoric from, especially people like Black Lives Matter, have been pushing this whole America's racist narrative.
God, it's so overdone.
It is, and also, too, I would have to, for one, a country's not a person. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
We would have to get that out the way. The second, America is comprised of a bunch of different people. You could say the people who live in America are racist, right? You could say that there are maybe some policies in place in your particular state that might have racist undertones. But it's the people who wrote these laws. The country itself it's a reflection of the people. Fair enough. A country can't be racist. The people within the country can be racist, but a country doesn't have any thoughts. It doesn't have opinions. It's not a living thing.
The personhood of the country.
Yeah, it's not. It's just a country. It's an inanimate object. Like a business can't be racist. people within the business can be racist,
Yeah.
but a business can't. A business is not a real person, although
No.
tax purposes, some people have considered businesses to be people, and I think that's completely backwards. But it's a whole nother conversation. That's just a dumb comment. It's just smoke screening for sidestepping real conversations. I don't know. The Indian guy. Who's that guy? How do you say his last name?
Oh, you want to put me in the spot here? Let's see.
Oh,
Let me try and look.
I can't say it.
Ramaswamy?
Ramaswamy. That sounds right.
I'm probably totally botching it. I apologize.
Who is this guy? Is he he's new, right?
Yeah, he's a new one. Vivek.
Let's see what this guy's about here. He's an entrepreneur and an author. Okay, he's a multi-millionaire entrepreneur and author. Describes himself as an anti-woke. Okay, and has made a name for himself in the right-wing circles by opposing corporate efforts to advance political, social, and environmental causes.
Why not?
Okay. That doesn't really tell you much of like who this guy is.
No. And I saw in his video, or at least the beginning of it, he made some MLK references of, people should be judged by their character. Or the content of their character, not not their skin color.
Which I would say that previously I would have said that was played out, but then now, based off of some of the stuff I've seen on social media, I would say that we might need to remind people of that, because now everything's based off of your physical identity, right?
That's a good point.
I'm a woman of color. I'm LGBTQ plus. And it's like you say that before you say anything, right? It's like, oh, this puts me in a box, or if we're talking about a certain subject, I'm such and such checkbox. Therefore, what I'm saying has more weight than what you have to say about this subject. We can get rid of that. That we don't need. It doesn't really help anything. And you guys have seen this in comment sections, right? There'll be a topic. Take abortion for a reason, right? And then, somebody will put in the comment section, as a woman of color, and then whatever it is they're trying to say. Why didn't you just say what you wanted to say?
I had to identify myself.
Why do you have to identify yourself?
Because I need to shut down this whole operation and let you guys know that I'm already correct, based on the fact that I'm.
But we haven't even heard what you said.
Of color.
We haven't even heard what you said yet. So
Doesn't matter. I'm Queen Bee.
All right.
Just kidding.
I mean, that must.
I don't believe in that.
That's what people are doing these days. So,
yeah, I think people are leaning too much on that and less on the merit. So I guess I would agree on that portion with Vivek or Mr. Ramaswamy here, that we need to get back a little bit on the merit system.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? Just a broader point, not to distract from the conversation at hand, but
Yeah, it's open.
A lot of these movements that we find ourselves kind of wrapped in, they had good intentions in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like some point, and I don't know where, but there's always like a point where that particular movement goes too far. Right? Here's a great example. Me Too. Right? The initial intention of Me Too was good, right? People were getting abused in the workplace.
Yeah.
They needed to tell their story and hold people accountable for their actions. And then there's a point where I guess maybe after a year or two, maybe 3 years, I don't know exactly when Me Too started, but there was a point where then you start to find people using Me Too as a weapon against people. And now they're starting to just target folks who didn't do anything, right? Aziz Ansari, right, got Me Too'd because the lady didn't like the date that they went on.
This is true.
Right? One of those college students up in the Northeast lost his scholarship and went to jail unjustly because some lady said that he raped her. And, it turns out, no, what they did was consensual, and she was just trying to, get back at this other guy that she was actually more interested in. So then it starts to get muddy because it's like people are just now just using this as an advantage to mess with folks. And so now people don't respect it anymore. Now every time somebody comes up and says something, now we are like, wait a minute, is this even real? Amber Heard.
For real.
So as it relates to...
Which is unfortunate for the people who actually are victims or
It is.
assaulted or any of the variations.
It is.
But you said as it relates to this?
So as it relates to the race stuff, I can see a situation where, initially, talking about issues that affected people of color, people who are African American, black, whatever. I can see how, like, all right, we have specific issues that need to be addressed, right? And then now it's like the people who are doing all the talking are just really doing things for self-gain.
They are. And they're talking for a bunch of people like, I don't want them representing me.
I mean, y'all, what's her name? Patrice Colors?
Yeah.
Is that her last name? Yeah, we find out later on that she used all the BLM money to buy up a bunch of houses and
super grifter.
Right, it's like, she presented herself as, oh, I'm fighting for the people. I made this organization. I'm helping families who've been victims of police brutality. Ooh, this is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Actually, I could probably snag some of that. There's a nice beach house up on an island somewhere that I could probably, take advantage of. And it is COVID, so these are very low prices. I mean, there's money in my hands. There's low home prices. Anybody in my situation would make the same mistake.
Meanwhile, families are knocking on her door, making phone calls. Hey, we never got that check for the funeral.
Correct.
Costs.
Straight facts. Straight facts.
Still never got it.
Still waiting on it. Maybe it got lost in the mail. Let me try to call Patrice again. See if, she could send another one.
Selling snake oil and...
So.
Yeah. Stealing from people, basically.
So I think...
Which I guess that started off good too. As a good thing. The hashtag Black Lives Matter.
Oh.
The intention, at least.
Yes, and I don't even know what it means anymore now.
Yeah.
Now it's just like a joke.
Unfortunately.
And how I see all these things playing out in this election, it's going to be messy, y'all. Honestly,
it's about to get wild.
I'm not looking forward to this at all because, we're already divided, right? These elections have gotten worse. The Trump versus Joe was annoying to deal with. And then Hillary Clinton versus Trump, that was terrible. The Democratic primary with Barack Obama and Hillary was bad. I'm not looking forward to this division stuff and people just, making all these different ads and saying, oh, this person does this person did that. No one's really, really genuine. I don't know who's actually telling the truth. Oh, you're about to say something? And so I don't know how this is going to play out in the next couple of months and for the rest of next year, because there's a lot of subjects that we don't see eye to eye on, at least through media. I don't know if we actually sat down as real people and talked to each other face to face, that maybe some of these issues are not as big as how they're presented. I know abortion happens to be a big deal. Ron DeSantis was super busy over the last couple of months with passing through a bunch of bills. And one of the bills in particular, if I can find it real quick. Where is DeSantis? DeSantis Maximus. Where is he?
Oh, yeah, you did show me he's putting in work.
He was. He's putting in some serious work. Oh, there it is. Let's get it. All right. So, let's get him DeSantis. So, he pushed a bill that... Actually, I can go ahead and share screen. All right. So, this bill basically bans abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Oh, this is interesting. But it won't take effect unless the state's current 15-week ban is upheld and his ongoing legal challenge. Oh, the Supreme Court is working on that. That's right. Okay, cool. So it's not really in effect yet, but people are talking about it and screaming and hollering. I don't know what the solution to this abortion thing is. First of all, I don't really know where the country is on it. Like I hear what the Democrats say, I hear what Republicans say, but I don't know where the real people are on this particular issue.
Excellent point. The day-to-day, I guess as you'd say, average Joe.
Average Joe, average Jane. I'm not really sure where they are on this. And I mean, honestly, to me, abortion is actually a symptom of a bigger problem. That's what I'd look at it as. What I don't like is how Democrats are packaging abortion as a woman's rights issue, and anyone who opposes abortion is trying to take rights away from women.
Yeah.
I think that's not accurate. I think the real issue here is we don't have good conversation about relations of the sexual orientation.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think the real issue is. Relations with alcohol.
Another big issue. Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that's really because part of what my research was when I'm trying to understand where people are at is I'll look at a variety of different material. And, one of the common themes I see with people who are advocating for abortion or people who have said they've had one, usually this was a situation where they made a mistake with somebody that they did not know. Some individuals got pregnant on a one-night stand. Yes, there are those super rare occurrences of like rape and incest, but that's not the common person. The common person doesn't have that issue. The common person is they went to a club, they got drunk, and whenever you are drunk, your inhibitions are lowered, and so you do things that a sober mind would not do. And so you bump into this guy, and you're like, all right, I guess I'll dance with him. One thing leads to another. All of a sudden, you start having relations, and then eventually you sober up, and like, oh man, what happened to me last night? I must have had a good time, even though I don't remember anything. And then you press on, and then all of a sudden you miss your period, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm pregnant? When? And now you have this issue, and I can see where if you're like, oh man, I made this horrible mistake, let me try to remedy this by, getting an abortion because maybe I'm in school or maybe I'm doing this and doing that. And then all of a sudden you're living in Florida, and Florida's like, nah, after 6 weeks, homie, you're out. You need to have that kid. And you could say that story, and then you could come to the conclusion of, oh, the issue is the fact that she doesn't have access. Instead of looking at the issue as, wait a minute, why are people making poor decisions when it comes to relations and alcohol? Because that's really what it is. It's making bad decisions.
For a lot of people, yeah. The scene you described, it made me think, and I know people are going to be like, you were laughing? No, I was laughing because I remembered our episode we did on Swarm.
Yes.
And that literally was what happened with her until the part, of course, where they bring if they would have brought a realistic thing, would have been, yes, she missed her cycle. But they, of course, glamorized it in media. So it was like, oh, she, finally loosened up.
And it's like, we shouldn't be encouraging.
And just got with a random person.
That's what I'm saying. We shouldn't, we as a society should not be encouraging that. Right? What is wrong with telling people, hey, you should have relations with people who you're in a committed relationship with? That you know their name. You know where they're from.
Let's start there.
Right? You know who this person is. Let's start there. I'm not saying you need to get married to people. Right? That might be overreaching. But if you did that, it does avoid a lot of these random one-night stand situations.
I think people are... well, I was gonna say people in general. I don't know. Whoever's pushing these things, I think they're not going to push the proper order of things. They're gonna push the one night stands.
That's unfortunate. And so, for the people who are in favor of these bans because, you're killing babies and stuff, and what I would say to that is, if that's what somebody decides to do, that's what somebody decides to do. And they're just going to have to take that L. But I'm not really in favor of trying to push people to do right. It's your choice at the end of the day. But I hate to see that this, because I can see this being a topic of a national debate. And it'll be really stupid because we as a society can't agree on this. So how are we expecting the president to have, what do we want the president to say on this? Whatever, regardless of what you say, there's going to be half the country that's going to hate you, right? If you're saying you're for it, half the country is going to be mad at you. If you say you're against it, half the country's going to be mad at you.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know if it's half. Like I said earlier, I don't know what the numbers are.
I don't know what the real numbers are. I just know what they propagate in front of us and promote. And the mischaracterization, in my opinion, of how you said, I agree with you on the point of the initial point you made, that it is not, what did you say, the abortion is not, see, now I want to say my part too. I want to say it's not healthcare, but it's also not just women's rights.
Mixed up in women's rights, yeah.
Mixed up in women's rights, yeah. Or at least that just being the main thing to try and, I don't know, it's a good storyline for them to say, right? So that it's so extreme of if you don't support it, then you hate women.
Yeah.
So, and it's not healthcare. I'm like, you want to know what real healthcare is? Something that's not an elective, doing something with your body. And that goes for also the surgeries that people are doing for no reason. I'm like, people with real healthcare issues.
Usually healthcare is something that you don't want to do, but you have to because of survival purposes.
Just trying to make it out here, man. Just trying to make it.
That you yourself did not initiate.
You didn't initiate.
Right? You didn't initiate yourself getting cancer.
No.
So yeah, that's, yeah.
But we're going to forget about all those people because the main people that need to be, discussed or, put up as the people who are suffering are not the disabled. No, forget them. Forget the cancer patients. We have other people in society who need more attention and are disenfranchised and they're all, on the bottom, they're oppressed.
Yes.
So I'm sure they're going to be screaming for attention on this stuff. But I really hope that, going back to the topic, abortion is not a main thing on the stage because I'd like them to have some spirited debate. I was actually going to ask you later once we went through all the people, but I think, what was my question here?
What's up?
Look at my paper notes. I love my paper, y'all. But it was basically, yes, that was it. Yeah. What issue do you want to hear the candidates their plan for?
Okay, going back to...
Or we could hold it for later if you want to as well.
No, we can talk about that. That's fine. Okay. I think that I would like to hear about the economy.
Yes. Can we just, I think that now I can definitively say, I would make a guess, educated guess, that the entire population would like to hear about that.
Yeah, I think that would be, if we can somehow find a way to not get distracted by abortion and diversity, equity, and inclusion, and actually focus on the economy, recession. If we can talk about that, we can talk about technology, right? AI, as we talked about in the last episode. Shout outs to the last episode on AI.
Check it out.
But is there a need for regulation with AI? Right? Are there some negative consequences that we're not looking at that we need to start drafting some bills on to deal with safety, right? Social media regulations. I know there's a couple of bills floating around that aren't passed yet. I don't know if they have enough support, but trying to limit use of social media to minors. It seems like little kids can't handle social media very well. And so, that's something that I would be interested to see what the candidates, what they think on that. Something that's small, but I think is actually major, is phones. We've seen. Actually, no.
Oh.
I have a bigger one than that one. Guns. I know we had an episode on gun laws, but I would like to figure out I would like to know if any of the people running for president has any idea what to do about this. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I have an answer to that question, because I don't. I don't know what the solution is. But what I do know is that I wouldn't be happy living in a country where I'm one step away from entering in a mass shooting situation. Like, I don't want to live in a country like that. That's a problem. And I don't know if
problem.
Huh?
I said extreme problem.
Yeah, and I don't know if people sat and really just thought about that. Say, look, let's put our differences aside. Yes, we don't get along sometimes, but we do need to come together to figure out what is a tangible solution to fix this mass shooting situation. Because I don't remember things being this bad. Like, this is a weird time in history where things are happening at a frequency that's agitating. Like, are y'all with me on that? Like, it's like this is an issue.
Yeah, that's a major one right there.
Right,
major problem.
We've had just Texas alone. We've had 3 major issues, and we're about to be halfway through the year. This used to be a once every 2 years thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if y'all have, and by y'all I mean the people running for president, and you guys too in the audience. It's you guys have an opinion on this as well. But give me something, right? I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you're not in favor of taking away assault rifles and things like that, then give me a tangible solution, right? All right, well, actually, we did some research, and it turns out this is the main issue, so we're going to address this by X, Y, and Z. Like, give me something, right? Tell me that you have a team working on this, and you are going to physically do something about it now, not in 10 years. So yes, I do think the economy is important. I think the gun thing is important. And on a smaller extent, I think the environment is important just because of the frequency of natural disasters, right? Our hurricanes are bigger. There's more forest fires. There's droughts, which is affecting our food. The air quality is getting worse. Sea levels are rising. We're losing land in the coastal regions. The actual salt concentration is decreasing because of the amount of polar caps and ice that's melting. It's causing the oceans to dilute a bit, which is also impacting the fish. So we're not getting as high quality of fish that we used to. So things are physically changing. And, although it might be too late to do something as far as trying to dial back pollutions, I do think that, where Republicans drop the ball, they don't have anything on climate change. And at all. I think somebody said it's like Republicans act like climate change is not even real.
Initially, they did say it wasn't real.
How is that going to work?
I don't know, especially now, like you said, with the effects actually showing from the different results we're seeing across the country and different changes in the climate, changes in the environment and the temperatures that we're having. Yeah.
Yeah. This whole political theater nonsense needs to come to an end. We need to get to some real conversation at this point. We got to stop messing around.
But because the Republicans went so far on that end of it not existing initially, and correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. I don't know if they actually said that, but it was kind of like a silent, it's not there. And since it's such a huge platform on the Democrat side, I don't know how they can go back now. But we do need that to be one of the items on the agenda on the platform. I don't know what they can do. Like you said, it's been such a long-term issue, and things just can't be. It didn't take one day for all those things to happen to the environment. So the unraveling, I don't know if you can tie it back up, but I'm sure there's some things we could do to mitigate it.
Yeah.
So, and at least you're right. Propose something, give us a plan, give us some kind of, we have researchers working on it, some acknowledgement.
Yeah, that would be nice, because we got to move past these political lines. Everybody's trying to jockey for power. I'm not ageist, but I would like to see some younger people running for office. Everybody is geriatric, and, that's not it. So we need some younger people who have some energy, who can stay up a couple of nights in a row to figure out some of these really tough issues. And also somebody young enough who has skin in the game. Because let's be 100% real with this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If you're 80 years old, do you really care what the next 10 years looks like? That's a question for y'all. Do they?
Y'all chime in.
You're about to die soon anyway, so who cares? Right? But somebody who's younger, wait a minute, I still got life to live. Right? I'm still going to physically be here for a minute, with good health. And so, I need somebody who has skin in the game.
You're not the only one who feels that way, though. Nikki Haley had initially said she wanted to put in age limits. And she got a lot of flack for that.
From who?
No, the public opinion.
Was that public opinion, or was that just media opinion? Because I separate the two.
Dun, dun.
I separate the two. The media has their own agenda.
Media posing as public opinion.
Yeah, that's not.
The public was probably silent on it. I don't think that she was trying to be ageist either.
All right, so one of the other bills Desantis pushed out that might end up being something that's on the national stage is the peeling back some of the LGBTQ. You want to call them advancements? I don't know if you want to call them advancements. I don't know what the perfect adjective for that would be.
What do they call it?
All right, so one of them is banning the education of sexual orientation in schools. Okay. That became an issue after COVID. I remember no one even knew if that was even a thing. And then parents who started eavesdropping in some of their kids' classes started to notice some weird things. TikTok is the spawn of Satan, but, or Satan's butt, whatever way you want to call it. But you started to see a lot of teachers posting a bunch of videos on TikTok talking about how they're, teaching their kids about relations and orientation and all this stuff. I don't know what that was about.
Oh, and getting their proper pronouns correctly for the teacher, and
the pronoun thing is a thing.
Telling kids that, you may not be what you think you are. You could be something else.
Yeah. The pronoun thing is interesting. I noticed that there's no rules yet, but I have noticed certain companies have encouraged, I wouldn't say forced, but encouraged their employees to put their pronouns in their email signatures. I don't have any opinion on that. To me, it doesn't really matter. If you want to put your pronouns in there, great. I don't. Through email conversation, I don't know if pronouns really even get brought up, because typically you usually use a person's name, and then you talk about the thing you're trying to talk to, and then you're trying to schedule a meeting or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know if the effectiveness of that is, but maybe it's more of just messaging of telling people, hey, I'm inclusive, and here's my pronouns, and opening up the conversation of pronouns. I think having a conversation about pronouns is fine. I think the issue that people have, or the fear, I guess would be a better accurate way of saying it. The fear that people have is they don't want someone to force them to do something. I think that's where the conflict rests. And if you are a person who is trans, and then you decide, hey, these are my pronouns, whatever they are. and you're talking to the people that you work with on a constant basis, and you think it would serve everybody, and you would you would feel more comfortable if your folks, if they just called you by the pronouns. As long as those people don't have an issue with it, I don't see what the problem is. I think the problem comes in if you just happen to have a guy or a lady who just is not about it, and she's like, I don't want to use those pronouns, so I'm just going to call you Rachel or whatever your new name is. I think we should respect that. I think the problem that we have is we don't want to put a situation where one group of people have all these rights and privileges and then the other group doesn't.
That's exactly what they're trying to do.
But that's the very thing that you're fighting, right? The very issue that we have with folks in government and policies is the fact that this belief that white people have enjoyed all these different privileges and other people haven't. And so the solution is not to do exactly what they did.
That's exactly what it is. For a lot of these people promoting the DEI stuff or the DI stuff and the other rights, it wasn't okay because you were doing it to me. Now that I get some power, I want to be able to do exercise the same thing. And two wrongs make a right.
No,
right?
Two wrongs don't make a right. So I think we're fine as long as you're not trying to force people to do stuff. As soon as you're trying to force people to do things or force people to believe in whatever it is that you believe, that's where you have an issue. That's where you have fights. And that's where something like this becomes a whole national conversation. And it really didn't have to be. This really didn't have to be a national conversation, but it turned into because you're trying to stiff arm and force it down people's throats. And people don't like that.
We don't like it.
Grown people.
America didn't start like that.
America didn't start like that.
You're going to force us around doing what you want us to do.
No.
And you're messing with people's kids.
So they're
not your kids.
They're
not your kids. I'm sorry to shout y'all, but they're not your kids. My kid goes to school to learn from you, basic reading, writing, and not even learn from you because I probably have already taught them that, right? These are my future kids I'm talking about. But no, really. People have already taught their kids how to read and write. They go to school and practice. You teach them things about pronouns. So I would disagree with you on the learning pronouns thing because they're trying to learn what pronouns actually mean. Nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives. These kids are just now learning the English language, and you want to throw this all on them, and that's not important for them. It's not. Sorry. It might be important to you, but everything important to you is not important to my kids. But that's why they wouldn't be in public school. Sorry.
To be fair, To be fair, I was talking mainly about adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw school there again, so I was like, well, let me touch on that. Part.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, and I can see the good argument there for why you want to leave the pronoun stuff out of grade schools, because if somebody doesn't know English very well, that is going to confuse the hell out of somebody. Like, wait a minute.
They're really learning what everything is.
Now you're telling me it's actually she or they, and wait, I just learned yesterday what they was. That's plural, right? They don't have enough mastery of the language to start switching back and forth and stuff like that.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
And kids don't care. They'll love you anyway. I mean, not love you, but a teacher, they like you. You're Miss whatever, or Mr. Or even if you just want to call the government name, you're Rachel. You're, or whatever they can say because they may not even be able to enunciate the name properly yet. Kids don't care.
That is true. That's yeah. So that's a really interesting thing. Why is there a focus on children? I know one of the other issues that people have with Ron DeSantis is the fact that he had this whole fight with Disney and what is it? Drag shows. Yeah. Right. And I didn't know anything about it, so I was like, what's the issue with a drag? Because I've been to a drag show before, and I gotta be honest, I was freaked out, but some people like it, so it is what it is, right? Not my cup of tea, but okay, right? But I do find it strange though that some of these drag shows are predominantly for the audience of children, and I was like, I don't know if scantily clad anybody is supposed to be around children.
Yeah, take the sexual orientation out of it. Would we be letting the kids go to a strip club?
No.
Okay, so that's a done deal for me.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what the some of the newer drag things. I wouldn't say that's what it was in the past of them taking off their clothes, but some of the newer ones, yes, dressing them in drag and taking off their clothes and dancing provocatively. And now they have some kids doing these things, saying it's their performance art.
Yeah, it was that one little kid.
Kids shouldn't be stripping. I don't know why would that even has to be said.
Yeah, we gotta. So this,
like, what's happening to us?
That goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the show.
What's that?
About how stuff starts off innocent, and then there's a point where it goes overboard. Yeah. Right? It went too far.
It's too far.
And now we've gone into the space where it's gone too far.
Yes.
And we need to dial it back. And so Ron DeSantis is trying to dial it back in Florida. Some people love it and some people hate it. But because he's going to run for president, or he is running for president now, this is going to be a national conversation. And now it's going to bring some of the stuff that he has implemented in Florida now to the national stage. And now people are going to ask the question, well, are you going to do, to the U.S. overall of what you did in Florida?
And I'm going to ask them, where was that question when Kamala was saying she was going to do to the United States what she did to California?
And if that is the case, then I want nothing to do with that. If you guys don't know Kamala Harris's record as the Attorney General, please look that up. That will give you a little bit more insight of why I'm not a fan.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Sorry, speaking to DeSantis, yes, they are going to be questioning if he's going to do that. I don't mean to. Well, I was going to put a disclaimer. I'm not going to put any disclaimer. I'm laughing at the fact that NAACP has said that there is they think they can make some kind of travel ban awareness thing. I'm like, first of all, you're not the Department of State. Okay. And maybe not a travel ban, but travel warning.
Travel advisory.
Advisory.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
For people of color.
Going into the state of Florida.
And I just, if...
Let's get it. It's not safe for you. As a woman of color, it is not safe. As soon as you step down in Florida, you go off the airplane, somebody's going to come at you and kill you on spot in Florida.
Yeah, they're extremists. I'm pretty sure people are just living their day-to-day lives.
Now, Florida has some other issues.
They have other issues.
They do.
Every state has issues. I'm not saying they don't have issues.
Shout out to our episodes when we talked about cookies. If you guys know about cookies, go look in our previous episodes because then you'll know what I'm talking about. Florida has issues in relation to cookies. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yes, a lot of issues.
Oh, Florida. You got to just get it together.
Let's see. So he has a feud with Disney, you said?
Or
you were saying?
He has a little disagreement, a little tussle.
Okay.
With Disney.
Like a little fight.
Just a tad. Just a small little with Disney. Disney, I forgot who the lady was, but she was a creative director that works for Disney. She said this during a shareholders meeting that she has a not so hidden agenda, LGBT agenda. And so if you guys have noticed, in some of the directly to streaming or films that have actually released to theaters have had a lot more, I guess they're calling it representation. Although it's kind of weird because how they are using representation, it would make you believe that LGBTQ folks are 50% of the population. But I digress. DeSantis, in the same DeSantis-y type fashion, has now said, yeah, you're going to have to shut down a lot of that stuff. So the company has come into his crosshairs of criticizing the so-called Don't Say Gay law, which I don't know if that's the name of the bill, but that's what they're saying. And so they've been going back and forth. Go ahead.
I would say that just made me think the Don't Say Gay law. The phrase, that reminds me, the Democrats are very good at spinning things and using that. There's a term for it, but I can't think of it at the moment. But they have, there's a way to get out in front of a topic or to make it stick in people's minds a certain way. And they've done very well with that. With this case, with things with whenever there's healthcare and saying Obamacare and or Affordable Care Act, they have a way of phrasing things that would have been otherwise pretty divisive or just normal and be like, oh, okay, well, what's the big deal about this law? And they've just, they put their own thing right there across it. So that's a little, see, I could be objective. An objective credit to them on their writing or speech.
So basically, this doesn't really seem like much. So basically, Disney said something against it. I guess Desantis didn't like it, and so he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take the self-governing district privileges away from you." And then Disney was like, "Oh, wait a minute, you can't do that." And he's like, "I'm the government. I can do whatever I want." And then now it's like a whole thing. So, all right, we'll skip past that because I don't know if that's even real or not. The self-governing district thing, maybe it's because you guys were wilding out. Disney has a lot of power. They create a lot of content, especially for little kids, which is problematic if you are pushing certain things with not so pure intention. So I don't know. I have nothing against LGBTQ, but I do have an. I think what Logic said earlier is probably the more accurate approach. Is when you're dealing with other people's children, you can't just do whatever you want. And I think that's really where the issue is not even really LGBT or government or Desantis or anything. It's just more of like parents want, part of a parent's job is to control the exposure of their children, right? You are a walled garden, and you kind of in a slow pace control how much exposure your child gets to the real world. Just like you don't expose your kid to the seriousness of taxes or bills or all that stuff when they're young. Why? Because you want them to be a kid. You want them to have innocence. And, why put the burden of adulthood on them too early? Yes, at some point you want to start exposing them to that because eventually you want them to be able to manage their own lives when they become adults. But we don't start that training at 5, right?
No.
So that's where I think that's where the issue is. It seems like an overreach. It's like, well, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for that kind of thing. Now, the flip side of what I just said that completely contradicts what I just said is that as a parent, you could just choose, you know what? I don't like the content that Disney is creating, so my kid's just not going to watch Disney.
Shut it off.
Right? So you could easily do that and be like, well, if he asks or if she asks, it's like, well, look, I'm not in favor of the stuff that they produce, and we're going to find other content for you to consume.
Yeah. Or go back to the originals. They're lucky they have a library of the old stuff.
They do.
Even though, the old stuff has insinuations, but that was kind of for the parents in the background, right? Like, it doesn't have overt sexual things like that as what they're trying to move towards now. Yeah. That would be another thing. So, you mentioned earlier that whoever's pushing this, right, the platforms, would have you thinking that it's half the population. They would also have you thinking that group is also only about sex.
Oh,
and it's like they're more than their sexual orientation. They're more than who they sleep with or how they sleep with each other. Some of these people want families. They want a partnership. They want a lifetime together. They have different jobs and interests. There's so much more to them, but all they want to push forward is drag shows, stripping, nefarious activities, other, just a different side.
That's an
and it's
excellent.
Like that group encompasses way more. Lesbian and gay people have been around forever. Like, why can't they just be respected as a person?
So that's a great point, and I think this is on the shoulders of LGBT folks.
That's true.
I think part of the problem is this. They don't actually. It's funny to say this. They don't have good representation.
Okay.
Right? Like the diversity of LGBT is not actually shown. Because you're right. The vast majority of it is debauchery.
Debauchery.
That's the vast majority of it. And the real people that we've met want normal things that any typical person would want. And that person is not shown very often.
Yeah.
So yes, I think I do agree with you on that one. And I think, people who happen to be gay should probably step up and be like, hey, I would like to just see a normal gay family.
Yeah.
And not just,
they care about healthcare. They care about family life. They care about the kids' education, about, they care about the economy.
That's a good point.
They wear regular clothes. They're not walking out here naked. Like,
right? Yeah, they don't get represented in Pride Parade. I mean, like the Pride Festival that we had here, everybody's walking around half naked, and I'm like,
they're wearing rainbow stuff all over the place. It's like,
and what is it? The leather stuff and
chaps.
the and like dog masks and all these different things. That like, why is all this stuff? It's all related to sex.
Exactly, and that's why I'm like the heterosexual people who do all that stuff or the BDSM or whatever.
They keep that in closed doors.
See that? I don't want to see them doing it either.
Yes, we don't.
I don't want to see you.
Yes.
Not out in public, and I don't want my child to see that for sure, because I don't want to have the conversation. I don't even know what you're doing, so I don't want to know.
Yeah, no, that's.
Yes, I think they need. You're right. It is peculiar to say that they don't have
good representation,
but they don't, because they're not one group, and they should have never been forced to be a part of the group. But you're right. It is on the shoulders of them to speak up about that.
Yeah. All right, folks. So let us know in the comment section what you think about the presidential candidates, what you think the conversation is going to be in some of these debates. We mainly just did this show to kind of give you an introduction of what's happening, and we'll probably do some more episodes later on talking about things as time progresses and as we see and discover more. The other thing that you probably have to discover as well is the like and subscribe button.
I'm just as surprised as y'all, but I shouldn't be.
We will see y'all next week. Enjoy your, Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah, happy Memorial Day weekend.
All right, y'all. See y'all next time.